Good afternoon. Well, it's St. Patrick's Day, and I'm walking, and it's 65, so temperature's cooled off a little bit. It's no wind. It's a beautiful day. Uh, the Irish are the kind of people that swim to a foreign shore, absolutely naked, struggle to the shore, and the first person they see, they say, "Who's the government? I'm against 'em." And I'm not against our government, but an Irishman doesn't back down from a fight, not one where people are hurting and dying and suffering. And I am sick to heart on this St. Patrick's Day that our president, who claims to hail from Ireland, is not ready to grab Zelensky shoulder to shoulder and say, "I'm with you. We're going to fight this bastard and beat him down so the world doesn't have to deal with bullies." And now I'm going to look at what I'm not doing right at home. So, you know, the Irish have this notion, and because I was a kid in the South Bronx, perhaps it was drilled into me more than possible, but it was the kind of attitude was, is this a private fight or can anybody join in? And as kids, we had a lot of fist fights. My dad, when I was 5 years old, the kid, Johnny upstairs, he hit me, and I ran up to see my dad on the fourth floor in our picturesque tenement, as I described it later in a high school essay. My dad said, "A tenement is not picturesque." And I said, "Dad, go down and beat him." And he got on his knees, and he held out his hands, and he had me punching his hands. And so I said, "Well, this is fine, Dad. I did this for a while." I said, "Well, when are you going to go down and get Johnny?" And he said, "You go get him. You got to learn to fight your own fights." And so I thought, well, as I'm going down the stairs, I thought if I hadn't told my dad this, I wouldn't have to go down now and beat up this kid when I've never had a fight before. I did think this clearly at that age, particularly about, about fighting Johnny upstairs, as we called him. And as I went down the stairs, my resolve was, I can't go home unless I beat up Johnny upstairs. And so when I got downstairs, I just wailed at the guy, and he ran away crying. Okay, and this is a character defect. I enjoyed it. And my dad would give me lessons from time to time. And once he did, and he didn't come to the door, because as he heard the bell ring, I hit him in the nose, and his nose started to bleed. And I was still, I don't know, 5.5 or 6 or something like that. My dad opens the door, and he apologizes for not opening sooner, but he said he was fooling with his son, me. And then he opens the door, and there's this little guy standing there. So the Irish are a special people, and I'm not saying this to the exclusion of any others. And I do believe that on St. Patrick's Day there is a diaspora, and all belong to it, particularly when you consider that St. Patrick himself had never been born in Ireland, although he did chase those snakes away. And the Irish have a healthy disregard for the institution church. But the Irish also have a thing about helping the underdog. And I saw it in New York in particular. There are people who are very impressive to me. And among the Jesuits, because they taught me in high school, they taught me how to think. And I've joked about that. But there isn't any question that they gave me a set of values, and we think about it and ponder about it. And one of them, I used to go to court in downtown Manhattan because I thought that was like a show, especially on Friday nights. All these people come in arrested for all sorts of things. I even took dates with me to this, by subway, by the way. I had no money. And then we would go to Chinatown afterwards. And it may not surprise you that I never had a second date after that with any of the women that actually agreed to go with me down to criminal court in Lower Manhattan. But I was very impressed with defense counsel. And I saw a lot of cases that I thought were unfair. And you have to realize, being a kid in the Bronx, you saw some things that the police did. And mostly, well, our thinking was, if the policeman on the beat was your uncle, you wouldn't have talked to him. That's what we thought silence meant. And I've told this story to quite a number of people since I've been practicing defense law after I was a prosecutor. It strikes me and makes me almost ill that there are people on the Hill that are attacking soon-to-be Justice Jackson for the fact that she represented, in my opinion, the abused and misunderstood, people charged with a crime. And I won't make this a big thing, but since I was a prosecutor and I've had the question, could you represent somebody that was guilty? And the answer is yes. And do you know why it's yes? Because I have hardly ever met a prosecutor who didn't overcharge in the case and didn't want to overpunish. And in those two areas, you can defend anyone. And on top of it, I have found agents lie about the facts, leave out things, withhold documents. And I have represented absolutely innocent people who went through hell because the government wasn't fair and just. And so defense attorneys sit there to keep the game fair. And the sense of fairness is, I think, at the heart of, yes, in my opinion, how I was brought up as an Irish kid, a Bronx Irish Catholic. And I think that's very American, and it's not exclusive to the Irish. You know, we saw coming up and now how the Irish have fought and the Italians have fought and the Jews have fought and people of color and blacks have fought for a level playing field. And in these days now, we have a government that doesn't even care to defend itself for failing to give equal rights to the rich in terms of punishing them as they would punish you or I, because we're not in the upper political class or business class or the capitalists that are supposed to be protected in the Republican view and a lot of Democrats' view, as opposed to us, the common people, we the people. So I'm proud to be genetically Irish, and people have asked me, have you been back, like I'd ever been there? And I have been to Ireland. And there's a place, Dingle Bay, I stopped at. And I found out from the gas station owner while I was getting gas there that nearby there was a whole bunch of Flannerys, and one of them ran a little boat thing. So I went down there to see it, and this woman, very staunch, stands there, and there's a man with her. We're separated by about 100 yards. And she said, "What can I do for you?" And I said, "I understand there are Flannerys here." She said, "Yeah, so why?" I said, "Well, I'm John Flannery." And she said, "No, you're not. He is." And so there was another member of the Sept in Ireland who was Irish, and his name was the same as mine. And apparently he knew everything about the Flannerys. And his story for me was that, the Flannerys, you're right, Mr. Flannery, they come from County Mayo. But there were two brothers who went out one day on a stormy day, something like today. It was the weather was up a little bit that day. And he said they got lost in a storm and they got cast away, and they were concerned that they would never survive, but they did. And they came right here to this place, to this bay. And so they decided, the good Lord must have decided that they should be here. And so the Flannerys have been here ever since, and now there are like 400 Flannerys here. I said, "Well, that's quite a story." He says, "Yes, it is. Come up to my house and have a little tea and meet the lady of the house." So that's another Irish story, and it's true. Of course, for the Irish, the truth can merely be an impediment to a terrific story. So this is a St. Patrick's Day wander, and a little light on the politics, but not entirely. So have a great day, and may the wind be at your back. Bye-bye.